Tell me, what can I do for you?
We already have 2 videos out there. Response has been pretty good.
Yeah, that is good.
Anything you wanted to just recap on?
Yeah, let me give since it was done a little bit, I think, in my opinion, a little bit fast. I spoke a little bit too fast. So break it down a little more. Uh, Initial years of growing up years, I was a very studious guy. Studious in the sense, neat and tidy, did everything on time, finished my homework on time, everything spick and span in ordered fashion. Um, my I have an elder brother, I have an elder sister. Brother was quite mischievous. My father had passed away when I was in seventh grade, and thereafter my mom has looked after us and brought us to where we are today. That's one side. The other side is of how I landed into a teaching career. I was intending to become a research engineer in electrical concepts, but for some reason, somebody asked me to teach their son, and fortunately, unfortunately, he passed. And the father sent the other brother, his next brother, and that guy brought his friend, and more friends came on. And by the time I finished engineering, I had about 80 students in tuitions. And I thought, okay, I am master of my own job. I don't have to answer it to any boss. I can take leave when I want to. And so I decided to stick around to what I'm doing. I enjoyed what I was doing above all. So I continued teaching for all these years. And then as time went by, opportunity came up in a college, which I first rejected. But then I was out of emergency. They asked me to come and help out. And I stuck around there in the college for 16 years. Another college for a couple of years, an international school for 4 years, and but my teaching private tuitions has been going on for now 40 years. This is my 40th year of teaching. That's a quick summary of what I've done in the last few years. Yeah, it's been a nice journey. I've enjoyed every moment of the teaching time. But what I can give out of this whole summary is we can plan whatever we want in life. Sometimes something comes up, people call it God or providence or fate, whatever you want to call it. Something comes up in life and it takes you in a different direction, and it turns out to be that's exactly what you want to do and makes you happy. And that's what happened to me. It's not that wouldn't have been happy with engineering. I still, even today, I would love to get back to that line because I enjoy that line. But I'm not, I'm equally happy with what I'm doing. I enjoy teaching maths. I enjoy maths and I enjoy teaching. Both put together, I had my fun. For me, it's not an employment, it's more like a hobby. I'm keeping myself occupied with a hobby, and that's giving me money. Nothing like that for anybody in life.
So when did you go ahead, sorry?
Yeah. So it just falls into place. Things fall into place sometimes in life and takes us in unexpected directions, but it works out for the best for us. You don't have to push it.
But when did you realize that? When did you just wake up one day and realize that this is what I wanted to do?
No, this is not something which I realized.
Okay.
That's an interesting question. It just came to me. When I thought about doing engineering is because my youngest days I first thought about becoming a army or a person because I lived very close to right next to the army area. Then later on I was very fascinated by fighter aircraft. So I wanted to become a pilot. And then because of both my school physics teacher and pre-university physics teacher, I got a great interest in electrical concepts, and that's why I specifically looked to do electrical engineering. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to do, and I enjoyed that because of the calculations that are involved and because of the amazing concepts it had from my point of view. But then like I said, it took me in a different direction. This direction never, didn't ask for it. It just came to me. And then I said, okay, maths I've loved from a long time. From 6th or 7th grade, I like maths. So when this came up, and I realized my ability to communicate, and it was giving me sufficient income, I said, why not? I didn't even think twice of getting back to doing that. One reason. Other reason is, even if I did think of going back, um, the demand of students coming in for classes, I just didn't have a heart to say, no, I can't teach, I want to do something else. One big reason, which I didn't mention earlier, is my focus, as I mentioned a little bit, my focus is on concepts. And I found, starting from the very first student, concepts were not being given properly to the students of how things work and why it is done in a particular way. And over time, those fundamental concept teaching methods have just gone out of the window in today's teaching. I would say, from the students whom I teach, coming from various backgrounds, various schools, 95% of the students have no idea of the basic concepts. So from the beginning itself, it was my mission to separate these concepts and help people understand maths better. In the process, if they got particularly those who didn't have a liking for maths, if they got a liking for the subject, one stage. If they took a career involving maths, that was like even better. And some of them who totally hated maths, who turned out and became maths professors or something in the involving maths to a large extent, that is my greatest satisfaction. Other side was, people have got lots of feedback of people who finished their learning from me and then moved on to other careers, and they messaged me back saying, because you gave me the fundamentals right, I'm able to survive in my future courses, understand it better, and I can handle the subject. I know how to absorb the subjects better, where my own classmates are struggling. Almost all my classmates are struggling. I'm very grateful that I got this from you, which is why I continue to stick to this line.
And you go by the evolved math therapist. So
yeah, I'll come to that. One couple of things before I became this, which I put this name which I gave to myself. What I didn't mention in the earlier video, earlier episodes, was I worked in different fields. When I was in 10th, those days the ICC board, ICSE board used to finish the academic year in December, whereas the plus 2 system used to start in June. So we had a 6 months gap. We had a family friend who had a security agency, and he said, okay, why is this guy sitting at home? Why can't he come and work in the office for a while? So I worked in his office for about 6 months. Then, and I earned enough to buy myself some, those days the jeans were just coming out, I got that, and a little bit pocket money. Rest of the money I gave to my mom. So I started earning very early in life and realized the value of money very early in life. That's one, which I wish a lot of children of today's world would do. But besides that, while doing engineering, there's one, for whatever reasons, there was a large delay between the end of the course and the exams. So I worked as a medical rep. I had this small, very simple product, is not involving pharmacy as such, but it's in the medical world. Then I worked as a sales rep for a similar product. Then I worked in Taj residency those days as a casual steward. I worked there for about 3-4 months, understood what is the nuances of 5-star service, and not cooking side but the service side. Then I worked in back to the same office. I worked for a short period. Then I've being an electrical person, I've designed entire house wiring and done the wiring for about 3 or 4 houses completely, from putting all the wires up to setting up the connection with the government. Also, through me and another friend of mine, we got together and since we understood electronics pretty well, we used to make stereo systems. Those days it used to be called cassette tape deck. Dual cassette tape deck. I made them and sold them just as a hobby, not for any profit. So I worked as a security, I worked in an office, I worked as a five-star steward. I worked as a medical rep, a sales rep. I worked in electrical wiring. I've also been singing for 40 years and teaching maths. I've done a lot of things. But all that, the one I've enjoyed the most, obviously, is teaching. You were asking me about how I came to be called or called myself the maths therapist. One of the things most teachers don't do in today's world, or rather how they go about their work, is they know their material, their subject matter. They are asked to go to a class, so they prepare a lesson and they go and give whatever the subject matters to the child. Earlier days, you used to ask what you understood. Today's world, they just deliver the information and then they expect the child to know. What I have done over the years, along with teaching the student, two things. One, which I mentioned in an earlier video, is to learn how to understand the mind of the child and therefore transfer the information from their point of view, which makes it easier for them to understand. Because when a teacher speaks from their point of view or their age level and try to communicate with the child of a particular concept, it doesn't have to be only maths, can be any subject. Okay, it will fly. Sometimes a child is oriented to that topic, so they can pick it up well. But sometimes what happens is the child has no inclination toward that subject or even that topic. Then it will be good to go into the mind and say, okay, what are you thinking about? Why is it confusing to you? Or what is your thoughts when I talk to you about this? Get to know the mind of the child. Then connect the dots and then say, okay, take the child back, get into the child's shoes, and then bring them up to what you were trying to put across to them. Connect them to what you are trying to say in a slow, methodical way. Don't just jump. That is one of the things which I did of understanding the mind of the child. Besides that, through the years, even though I've been teaching for 40 years, as everybody knows, what's available in the world, what information has been given out of the world, and in today's world, it's the information age, information available from different kinds of sources. So I've learned to evolve along with the changing times and relate to the student according to the changing times with their the lexicon of words, their words which they use commonly, their joking pattern, things that they relate to quite often. Today's world, it used to be the phones and messaging earlier, slowly shifted to watching videos, then it went to video games, and then it went to gaming, online gaming, and different kinds of things. Today has gone into AI, whatever these people want to do. But keeping track of that and being reasonably as informed as a student. One, in that process, you also get to understand how the child's mind is working in today's world as the time evolved. So both these put together, I've been able to get into the mind of the child and understand at that current moment how they are thinking, and therefore put the matter across to them. Also, I've realized that concepts have not been told properly. I still insist on students understanding concepts completely. You can get marks. You can get marks and get a job, you may get on. But definitely somewhere in life you're going to get stuck if you do not know the concepts. If you know the concepts, you don't have the marks, you may get a lower job now, but you can rise faster because you know your basics right. And you can pick up your job as you go because you know how to analyze what you've learned and apply it slowly as you go. You know how to work it out and go out. If you learn it through the concept method of learning. So, evolved math therapist is understanding how to get around the child. Why therapist is because I can quote several instances where children have come to me thanks to the education system and whatever they got from different sources, where the fundamentals were bad, they got total hatred for the subject, or they have no idea of the basics. So I know how to start from wherever the child's position is, whatever their attitude to the subject is, and slowly turn them around and get them a better attitude to the subject, improve their approach, so that they first get a liking, say, okay, I can learn this. Then I get them to find it interesting to work a little bit more. And then if they take it up and start working on their own and start building their knowledge and getting improving their understanding with that, the grades, that's the best thing which I've done. I can easily quote, not quote, I can give at least 3 examples, and it's so happens they were all in the same year. Uh, 3 different people going to 3 different big time tuition centers. I won't give any names here. One person, one of the biggest was in the country for quite some time, was taking help from them for their 10th board exams. This person was almost failing in their pre-boards, just a little bit above the failing marks. So the parent somehow got their number from me, and I started teaching the child. In 2 classes, the child wouldn't leave the book. The child kept working non-stop. Few days later, a week later, the parent calls me and says, please tell her to stop and sleep. She's not sleeping. She's continuously working maths. And the child went working so well, maybe because I started explaining the concepts and she started understanding better. She worked it out well. She went to the exam. The few days before the exam, I said, you need to have any doubts? She said, no, sir, I'm good. And she got about 85-90%. Another student, I don't know if you can post that message later on, but the student parent, the child, I was teaching the younger brother because the parents thought was, okay, the elder child is going to 10th board, so send her to one of these big centers. This younger child is only in internal exams, so ask one local guy to teach. Now this big center which she was going to, again one of the very famous ones, can't quote the name, but she had got, after going almost a whole year, in December of that particular year, thank you, December of the particular year, they got, she had got 35 or something, just about passing mark for her pre-boards. And she was in tears. I had gone to teach her brother and I saw her in tears. I said, what's the problem? She said, oh, sir, I'm going to fail, got only this much marks, and she was almost giving up. I said, tell you what, bring me 5 of your doubts, I'll work it out for you. So I showed it to her. Then after I finished clearing those doubts, she said, sir, can you clear up all my doubts? I said, sure, just inform your parent, just get permission and I will teach you everything. And I did that for her. Transformation. This was in December, January. End of January, beginning of February, she is given a repeat test because she not done well. Marks, 45 out of 50. She goes to the final exam. She gets 89 out of 100, 89%. So much so, her father, who had already booked her into humanities for 11th and 12th, quickly changed his mind and put her into entrance exam coaching for engineering. 2 years coaching she did. She used to keep in touch with me and get some tips here and there and fill up any gaps which they didn't explain properly. But she managed to get a seat in engineering in computer science, which is not easy to get. She got engineering computer science, and the best result was when she went in 3rd semester, she got 100 in maths.
M3.
M3, yeah. Okay. So that's one of the best transformations. I've got plenty of the cases, but this is one of the recent cases. The father had 1 million things to say after that. The point is, any student you bring,